Welcome to Gone Fishing. On today's show, your hosts, Bob Kirkpatrick and TJ Schwenke, downrig for lake trout.
Hi, I'm TJ Schwenke. And I'm Bob Kirkpatrick. Welcome to Gone Fishing. We're an hour and a half north of Meadow Lake at Watson's Resort on beautiful Lac La Plonge. We're going to be doing some deep water fishing on downriggers for lake trout. The weather's clearing up, so let's go fishing. Well, we made it out on the lake here. We're fishing just east of what's known as the Big Island, and we're with local fisherman Lawrence Kaiba. Now, Lawrence is kind of the expert on downriggers in the area, so he's going to show us exactly what methods they use here to catch fish throughout the summer. We're trolling along a ridge that tops out at 60 to 80 feet, and the trout are right down near the bottom, and downriggers is probably the best way to get to them. It's sure the most sporting way anyway.
Okay, it's mid-July and the lake trout are quite deep, especially the larger ones. So we're using the downriggers to get down to their level. Now basically what the downrigger is it's a 10-pound lead ball, and it's attached to steel cable to the downrigger itself, and that helps us get the lure down to the lake trout level. Now we attach our line off our fishing rod to that, and when the fish bites, the line actually releases from that heavy weight, so we can fight that fish on nice light tackle and enjoy the sport and the fight that these fish do offer. They're incredibly powerful fish and a lot of fun on this light tackle. Now on Bob's side of the boat we're using 2 rods, and he'll show you a little bit what we're doing here.
As you can see on this side of the boat, we've got 2 lines set up, so we're covering 2 different depths. Now this downrigger is set at 80 feet deep. That's where the cannonball is down 80 feet, and there's a release right near the lead weight. On this back rod, we've got a spoon set out about 40 or 50 feet behind the downrigger, and then it's clipped on. So that one stays at 80 feet. And on this rod, we've hooked up what's called a slider release. It's about 10 feet up from the lead weight. So it's set at 70 feet, again with the same type of spoon out 40 or 50 feet behind. So with this stacker release, we can cover 2 different depths. Now on TJ's side of the boat, he's set at a different depth, and he'll kind of explain what he's using there.
Now I've got 1 rod out on this side of the boat, and it's set at 60 feet. Now behind it we have a minnow rig. And it's pretty similar to the spinner type rigs we use for walleye fishing or anything like that. It's just a spinner with a frozen minnow behind it. So we're covering 60 feet, 70 feet, and 80 feet. Now if it becomes obvious that the fish are biting better at one depth, we'll probably set all our lines to that depth. But until we find out and establish where the fish are actually biting the best, we'll cover as much water as possible. And we're going to show you how to set up and use these downriggers a little more in detail later. So just going through a little school there, I had that hit right away and then yours went.
Weight? Yeah. A little bit better. Got the boat stuff. This feels like a lot better fish, do you think?
Right.
Not a 25-pounder, but it's got a little bit of weight to it. Ooh, there he's going. He's taking out some drag. Well, that one came at 60 feet.
I had that hit at 70 just before that.
60 feet on that green pixie spoon again. All right, just saw a flash.
Well, you can see a long ways down.
Oh, this water is crystal clear. There he is. Oh, oh. Another line. There he is.
Oh! All right.
That's what we're after.
Yeah. Get that hook out of him. He took that hook pretty deep.
Yeah, he's well hooked.
So, in a case like this, you're better off to keep this fish. He probably will die if released.
Yeah, he's bleeding pretty bad.
So we're going to eat a couple of these fish. Let you hold them, you caught them.
They sure are pretty fish.
You bet.
Well, let's get him in the cooler. Get after some more. Now we caught that fish on the bottom setup here, so instead of reeling in both lines, what I'm going to do is unhook this stacker. It was set 10 feet higher than the bottom. And I'm going to just switch it over. Put that one on the bottom. Set this stacker back up at 10 feet. And we'll run this pixie spoon at 70 feet. We've got a line counter on the front of this downrigger. There, we're back at 80 feet again. So we got this one set at 80 feet, and this other one at 70, and TJ's at 60 feet on the other side.
That one sure hit, didn't it?
That hit hard. Yeah, that's one of the first ones we've had actually pop to release.
Downrigger just rattled when it hit.
We're moving pretty fast too.
I don't know why so many people are afraid to use downriggers. They're not that complicated. Now they do take some experience to learn how to use well, but they're sure not that complicated.
Well, and they come in a lot of different styles too. You can get small portable ones that can just clamp onto the side of a small fishing boat. Use them for walleye fishing, lake trout, just about anything. This guy's putting up a little bit more fight. He's getting closer to the surface.
Sure proved their effectiveness today, these downriggers. Like, we couldn't fish these fish and have as much fun as we're doing any other way.
Look how clear this water is. You can see him 20 feet behind the boat.
Well, you were saying how far could you see that downrigger ball?
I let the downrigger ball down when we were stopped, and I could see it 35 feet down. Well, that's a nice fish. It's been the answer today, haven't they?
They're sure dynamiting a lot of species of fish.
He's not hooked too bad.
What a pretty fish, though.
Lots of colors on there.
Look at those reviculations. I'll let him go. There, he's gone. Now, one thing about lake trout over a lot of other species, they have a very effective air bladder. If we were to bring a walleye or a pike from those kind of depths, they wouldn't be able to adjust to the pressure changes that quickly. They'd either have to be fizzed, let the air out of their actual air bladder, or they would die. Now, lake trout, if you watch, he'll actually burp on the way up and let air out. So by releasing him, even caught in deep water, he'll go back down and be no worse for the wear.
A little bit better.
That looks like shore lunch material.
That's what we're looking for.
Now, nothing goes together like shore lunch and a northern fishing trip. And that's just what we're doing here. We caught some smaller lake trout today and we're just cooking them up on the fire here. And Gordon's pretty famous for his lake trout cooking and we're just about ready to sample it. Now also with northern fishing trips comes a lot of camaraderie. And we've met some really good new friends up here.
Right next to me is John Lesmeister. He's been running our camera boat today. Next to TJ is Gordon Watson, former owner of Watson's Resort here at La Plonge. Next to him is Lawrence Kaiba. He's been guiding us today out in the lake where we've been fishing out of his boat. And next to him is the new owner of Watson's Resort on La Plonge, Ivan Faut.
Lac La Plonge is located approximately 150 kilometers northwest of Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan, near the town of Beauval. Paved roads lead right to the shore of this sparkling clear lake, where anglers can try their luck for trophy lake trout and northern pike. Lac La Plonge contains one of the most southerly populations of lake trout in the province. Common angling methods include down rigging and steel line trolling. The trout remain deep for much of the year in these crystal clear waters. Anglers visiting Lac La Plonge will find deluxe accommodations, a full-service store, restaurant, boat rentals, and on-the-water gas at Watson's Lac La Plonge Resort. Resort owners Ivan and Elsie Fott took over operation of Watson's in May of '92 and are quickly gaining a reputation for great meals and warm hospitality. While Lac La Plonge is best noted for its tremendous fishing, guests may also choose to spend time on one of the numerous beaches or enjoy an evening around the campfire where local residents can often be found holding a sing-along. Watson's Lac La Plonge Resort provides the perfect holiday destination for the entire family.
All the boys all went to heaven, and the girls I will not tell.
Do you have any questions or comments on Gone Fishin'? If you do, we'd love to hear from you. Send your comments to Gone Fishin', care of Box 421, Cabri, Saskatchewan, SONOJO, or fax Gone Fishin' at 306-587-2603.
The coot. An exceptional bird that fancies itself the swan of the marsh. An intelligent and elegant creature, the coot is peaceful by nature. A loving parent with strikingly beautiful babies. Contrary to its name, the coot is indeed fun-loving and decidedly romantic. The Coot, brought to you by Ducks Unlimited Canada.
There we go. It feels a little better. We picked this one up again on the 80-foot depth. Definitely a better fish. We've been running 3 different depths here, and we've last few hits we've got been on the 80 feet, so I think we're going to start dropping our plugs down a little deeper. Yeah, he's...
You gonna need the net, TJ?
I don't know, he's putting up a struggle anyhow. Now these lake trout are primarily sight feeders, and the last 2 hits have also come on a pink and silver spoon here, so they may be keying in on that color as well today.
A little better fish?
He feels a little better, yeah. Now this is on the downrigger where we had the 2 releases set up, and he just got off.
Oh, is he off?
Yeah.
Well, that was on the Pixie again. Which one was it on? Pixie? Okay. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't always work out the way it's supposed to. Get that one back down there and try again. We come right over that same spot. Here's our marker buoy out there we left from the last one. Just bang again. I don't think this one's quite the same size as yours, Bob. But
That's 3 hits and 2 passes.
the other rod here. Seems that you find an active school like this, you can just keep going back to it. You can catch several in a row. That seems to work with any species of fish. If you find a school that's active, just keep going back to them.
There he is. He's that water's nice and clear.
Did ever.
Oh.
quite as big as yours, but another
nice
decent
full
fish.
Whoa.
The lake trout are highly developed sight feeders as well, and they seem to really keyed in on this green pixie spoon for some reason.
All right, get him.
So we've got it down on 2 of the lines, and that's what we've caught both the fish on.
We might need those pliers again.
What do you want?
Which way do you want? Okay. Oh, put him back.
Slippery, aren't they?
Very slippery.
Okay, we'll put him back in the water. He's quite healthy.
Boy, that's a nice fish.
Okay, like we mentioned, we found an active school here now. So Lawrence threw out the marker buoy when the first one hit, and we're just going to keep working this area, and hopefully we can get some more here right away.
That one came out of 80 feet, so we've got one hit at all 3 depths, 60, 70, and 80 feet. So they're suspended in there.
Yeah, we're fishing over about 120 feet. The fish are up off the bottom. They're relating right to the edge of a shelf. So what they've done is slipped off the shelf out into deeper water, maybe to feed on ciscos or whitefish that'll also be suspended out here.
It's time now for Pokey's Pro Tips.
We've been using downriggers to get down to where these lake trout have been. I'm just going to explain a little bit about what a downrigger is. Now, a downrigger consists of a spool of heavy cable, 150, 200 pound test cable. That's allows us to get our light line down to the depth that the lake trout are at. We've been fishing in the 60 to 80 foot range. There's a counter on the end of the downrigger here, so it tells us how deep we are down. What we do is we attach a weight to the end of this cable on this large clip here. We're using a 10-pound weight, and the weight is the size of the weight is determined by how deep we're fishing and how many lines we run off each downrigger. Now, this allows us to use our normal fishing rods, light line, and we can still get a good fight out of these fish once they're hooked up. Once they hook up, they release. There's a release clip here, and our line releases from the downrigger ball, so we're not fighting this heavy weight. Now, the downrigger has got, there's various models. This one has its own rod holder, and it's a manual. You crank it up by hand, and there's a brake here. So we release the brake and let down the ball to the desired depth that we want. There's a counter on the top here. It tells us how many feet down we are. And as I mentioned, once the fish hits, it releases, and we can fight the fish without the weight of the downrigger ball. So how we set this up, as you notice, there's a release clip on here. We hook our line to this. We've been using mostly spoons to fish for these lake trout, running these about 40 or 50 feet behind the downrigger. So once we've let out our allotted amount of line, we hook this little clip on here, and wherever you hook the line, the closer to the front, the easier the release will be. So if we get small fish, it'll release easier. If we're going mostly after big fish, clip it in a little further back, and it takes quite a large fish to pull a release. Once the fish strikes, this breaks free, and we're fighting the fish without the weight of the downrigger ball.
As with most specialized fishing situations, it requires the use of specific gear, and downrigging is no different. For downrigging today, we're using a level wind reel, and the reason for that, it's good for fighting heavy fish, and there is a chance of catching some big fish out here. There's also a couple special features it has. The line guide actually passes back and forth. So what that allows us to do is determine exactly how much line we have out. So if we started catching fish 40 or 50 feet behind the ball, we could replicate that each time. Now, the rod itself is quite long and made of fiberglass, and there's a couple reasons for that as well. It's very flexible, and what happens when you're fishing for these fish, your line is actually at right angles. So when that line pops out of the release, you have to take up a lot of slack to get a straight line to the fish. So that's why we use such a long, flexible type rod. And I'll show you how to set it up here in the downrigger itself. So we just put it into the rod holder and hook it up to the clip like Bob showed after we've let out our line to the desired distance behind the ball. And we just take the brake off Now you can just push the button and spool this down so you don't get a backlash. And once our counter says we're at the desired depth, you can click it. Now what you do here is you can crank up. And what we want to do is load that rod up. We want a lot of tension on it. Set the brake. So what happens now when that fish bites, that rod will actually snap upwards quite hard, picking up several feet of line, and that also aids in setting the hook. Now there's a second way you can do this. I'll just bring the ball up here. The other way you can do this is let your ball down to about 5 feet or 6 feet shallower than you actually want to fish. So we let it down, click it over, now let it down another 5 feet or 6 feet. And what that does is load the rod up for you automatically.
Now you can use one downrigger to cover more than one depth. You have to use a device like this called a stacker release. How this works is this clip hooks onto the downrigger cable and it slides up and down. You can set it at any depth you want. We were covering 2 different depths today, 80 and 70 feet with this. How it works is we hook this clip up to the downrigger cable. We lower our first line down to the approximately 10 feet and then hook this clip onto the downrigger cable so it holds it in a position. We set up a second rod, let the line out, the fishing line out about 40 feet and hook it up to this release. Then we lower the ball back down to our 80-foot depth, and this way we've covered 2 different depths. Well, it's getting pretty late here. It's just about dark, and we just nailed another one here. This one doesn't feel real big. We're running out of daylight.
I got his brother here.
Well, you got one too?
Yeah. That's quite a small one.
Well, this one feels a little better than that. There he's putting up a bit of a fight. Well, he wants to stay down there. Maybe somebody should bring that downrigger up.
I'll get that downrigger out of your way.
All right. We'll have to find an out. Ooh, there he is. He's close to the cable, too.
Crank that thing.
Oh, he's off. Nope, there he is. There.
Hooked around the...
Yeah, I'm hooked around the release. There he is. Last food.
I hate to say it, yours is better than mine.
Well, he isn't even hooked. Look at this. He's tied on there. He's lassoed. I think it's going to take a little work to get this one off.
I'm going to get mine back in the water. Well, we just got that mess straightened out. We ended up with a triple header there. They got all tangled up in each other. That's one of the hazards of downrigging. They weren't very big fish, but we had some fun catching them. We just turned the boat around. We're going to go back over the rock pile and see if we can pick some more up.
Now, we don't have a lot of daylight left, so 1 or 2 passes and that's it. This rock pile comes out of about 127 feet of water right up to 40 feet. And we have to pick up these fish just on the edge, about 60 feet, going over the edge of the rock pile. So we'll make another pass or 2 and hopefully we'll pick up a couple more. Well, we've had a great day here at Watson's Resort in Lac La Plonge. Sure like to thank our hosts, Ivan and Elsie Faut. As you can see, they put together some local entertainment for us. They're going to throw a little party here. And the fishing's been fabulous. I'd highly recommend this for anybody. Bring your family out. There's lots for the kids to do. And the fishing's just been great.
Until next time, we're gone fishing.
It was 9 feet high and 6 feet wide, soft as a downy chick. It was made from the feathers of 4 to 11 geese, took a whole bolt of cloth for to tick. It had a whole 8 kids and 4 hound dogs and a piggy we stole from the shed. We didn't get much sleep, but we had a lot of fun on Grandma's feather bed. After supper we'd sit around the fire, the old folks would spit and chew. Pa would talk about the farm and the war, Granny sing a ballad or 2.